Here we go. Um, and I hope you've had a time to read this, so I can put this away again. Here, if I look at different sectors of the S&P, how they've done relative to the S&P, there are huge differences. That a few of the subsectors have done extraordinarily well. Healthcare is one that's not too surprising. IT sector has done extraordinarily well, and then the one that's a bit of an outlier is the consumer discretionary. Note that that is almost well, not just almost entirely, but it's very heavily weighted towards Amazon. And I have to mention them in this context. No, we don't have any holdings in Amazon here and don't make any investment recommendation. But on the flip side of it, things that have done very poorly, energy is the most obvious one, right? Financials have done very poorly, and 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 then a few others as well. Utilities has done very poorly. And so is there going to be mean reversion? Are these sectors out forever? Um, when we just look at the index, the S&P 500, we may think that this is all a great recovery, but this is going to be very differentiated. In the fixed income market, in the bond market, um, we haven't seen all that much of a move. If I go and look at my 10 year to date, we have moved down on the 10 year. We were hovering in the high ones. We were December 31st at 189, but we're now at 70 basis points, or 69 more precisely. And then at the low point, we were in March here um, at 31 basis points briefly, but there we have not seen the recovery. So usually the bond market is considered the quote unquote smarter one. But at the same time, of course, we have this extremely supportive environment, and so when we have this sort of extremely supportive environment, it is um, very difficult for obviously risk assets not to not to float higher when you print this massive amount of money, and that may well be the story, that it's the extraordinary stimulus. In addition to that, the discounting that we get. If we look around the world, we have mentioned New Zealand dollar as the best performer. There was talk of negative rates there. That's been pushed back a little bit more, saying that, hey, we're just checking it out. So for whatever that is worth, right? And so the central banks around the world have clearly shown that they want to provide all the stimulus they can. And then if you look at the much of the rest of the world has a very different sort of safety net. Let's talk about the developed world here first. The developed world has a very strong safety net, except with a big exception of the U.S. And the U.S., the way we've put the aid in place, we've really encouraged people to go on unemployment. In fact, as been reported now quite widely, several people have been making more money on unemployment than getting a job. I talked to a friend on Friday who runs a restaurant, and he's taken advantage of the PPP program, but she said it's not that easy to attract companies. She doesn't have that many hours to offer, and these folks make more money being on unemployment. And so it's not that straightforward. And so now, as the economy is opening back up, is likely to open back up in the US, we have to get people away from unemployment back into the working world. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Now, the question is, obviously, we're going to see all kinds of stories of how things don't work well and how things get treated unfairly. Again, the question is, what does it mean for the major averages? And that's a question that remains to be answered. I think what we do know is that governments have spent an awful lot of money. They'll continue to spend a great deal of money. My view is that there's going to be political backlash against some of the things that have been taking place, and that we have no way of knowing yet how that's exactly going to play out. With regard to whether the equity valuations are justified or not, I my guess is as good as anybody's, right? Let the market be up for a few days and we're all happy, and let the market be down for a few days and we all said, oh my God, why is that? So I wouldn't get too carried away with that. The important thing that is that people have a process in how they want to go about it. So with that, I'll leave it for that this morning. Have a great week and stay healthy out there. Take care.